They reached out to me. I didn't really know them. I didn't know what kind of people they were. I didn't know what their passions were. And hardest wedding I've had.
And to make them comfortable enough for photos, I have to take, a few years of friendship and condense it down to 8 hours.
If you don't have a good connection with your photographer and your videographer, people who are going to be right there and be around you, I feel like that makes the day go a little bit like, it's like almost like, but today we were talking about is, I think we're talking about stories, like, and how like, with weddings, a lot of weddings, I feel like vendors, you hire a vendor, you hire a photographer, a videographer, they show up on the day of your wedding or show up at your shoot, and then they just capture your photos, your video. And one of the things I think, like for me, I've kind of learned over the last few years is that if I don't really know or get to know my the bride or the couple that I'm working with, then it makes it a little bit more awkward initially when I get there on the wedding day. Versus like, what we do, we try to get to know, clients way ahead of time, and also try to get them to tell their story, and also document that, which is a lot of fun. And so I think about like my very first wedding. I don't know if you remember your first wedding, but my first wedding, I didn't do an engagement shoot with the couple. Like they reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. I was just happy to get a wedding booked, by myself. And so like, and they reached out to me. I didn't really know them. I didn't know what kind of people they were. I didn't know what their passions were. And that was, I'm gonna be honest, that's still to this day, like probably the hardest wedding I've had, like the most difficult wedding I've had. And then I've had like a couple of other weddings where I've stepped in, like emergency wedding, like where they like the photographer canceled and like they needed somebody like 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, I step in. Those wedding days, like I got paid and that's great and made some money, but like I feel like I don't really enjoy a wedding unless I'm like able to like know the people I'm shooting their wedding or get to know them a little bit. And I think our process kind of makes that a lot easier.
100%.
Can you talk a little bit about like some of your weddings that you shot?
I mean, I know like for me, like starting out, a lot of your weddings are just like family, friends and stuff like that. So you kind of have some sort of like relationship built. But like the first wedding that was like, I didn't know the couple at all. Which is an odd thing because it's like, to me, I'm always in the mindset of if I'm going to hire someone to do my wedding, I'm probably going to have them do my engagement shoot. But I've realized, it's very common for people to do their engagement shoot and then, hire separately, which
is weird.
To each their own. But so the first wedding like that, I didn't have the engagement shoot. I didn't know them previously, and they just kind of like, hey, you're a photographer. We want you to shoot our wedding. It's very odd because like trying to explain it to people, it's like you have to take like the capacity of the relationship between me as the photographer with the clients, and to make them comfortable enough for photos, I have to take, a few years of friendship and condense it down to 8 hours of work.
Exactly.
And it's not just only the clients that are paying us to be there, but also their friends, their family, their bridal party, their grandma, like for them all to actually look like they're enjoying themselves for a photo. Because think about like school photos growing up. Like you don't know if like you're there, you have to be there. Like you're in prison for 8 hours a day from 8:30 in the morning to 3:35 in the afternoon. Like, and then you got photos and you don't even know that man that's doing the photos,
And they just telling you what to do.
They're just telling you what to do. You're just a brick that's being shifted to fit into the wall,
Exactly.
And so, but taking that out of the equation to actually build relationship, but condensing, over a year's worth of friendship into 8 hours of comfortability for photos that they're going to have for the rest of their lives. It's like, talk about pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, and so, I know like for me, like in my first couple of weddings, like, and I'm an overthinker about a lot of things, and so trying to get past that, and just loosening up so that way that process is easier. Because the longer I thought about like all the things I've got to do, and getting the job done, but on top of that, being Mr. Charismatic, but having to be in those settings and be the guy, that's directing large groups of people,
telling everybody what to do,
and on top of that, you don't know each one of their personalities on an intimate level, so doing it in a way that doesn't make you sound bossy to where they're abrasive towards you, and doing it in a way that they're receptive to what you're saying, And so, like, you want to stretch your people skills, become a wedding photographer.
Exactly. I would say I was thinking about this, man, and it's something that kind of hit me the other day. is that on a wedding day, like the bride, the photographer, videographer, especially the photographer, is like pretty much gonna be the person by your side the majority of the day.
Yeah.
And it's like there you got your your significant other when when you get married, but like you're gonna pretty much we spend most of our time with the bride, and it's like and so like if you don't have a good connection with your photographer and your videographer, the people who are gonna be right there and be around you, like I feel like that makes the day go a little bit like it's like almost like there's this awkward person in the room that I don't really know.
You never met them till that day.
Never met them till that day.
And they're telling you to smile at their camera and
Smile at the camera, yeah.
Or like they're just like, because you want to be a fly on the wall, but it's like they're a dude wearing this big belt with all this camera gear,
big camera, big lens pointed at you,
big lens pointed right in your face, and yet you're just like, just ignore me. Because if you told me to ignore this giant cinema rig that's right in front of my face, bro, like. No, that's like an elephant in the room.
Exactly.
Dude.
Yeah. Kind of like I always think about this once I got my new truck and I never before I got my new truck saw my like trucks like mine or I noticed trucks.
Yeah.
But now once I got it, it's like I noticed Ford truck.
Right.
I just got a Ford. I got a Ford F-250.
Yeah.
And I was like now I see them all the time, and I was like. I don't want to focus on them, but I see them all the time.
Right, they just stick out.
And it sticks out. Yeah. And so it's like once you point something out, once something has kind of become a focal point, it just sticks out to you, you know? And so I think it's important to like that relationship ahead of time. Like, again, I feel like the engagement shoot is an opportunity to interact and see how we are when we're
and it's low pressure
it. And it's not high pressure versus like the wedding day is pretty much most of the stuff is like you got to get it right at the time that it's set at the time that it's set at.
Well, especially if it's like a 4-hour wedding day,
Exactly.
Or like a few of the weddings that we've done, we've had the opportunity to be able to go the day before for like the rehearsal.
Yeah.
And so that's another opportunity that we've had that's not like super high pressure where we have giant cameras in our hands.
Yeah.
To be able to connect with our clients,
exactly, and to get to know the wedding party as well, and the parents. Like I think that's
and the other
huge
vendors
part.
as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Because vendors working together, I'd say is like almost as important, if not more, than you and your client. Because it's like from the client's perspective, they're paying for both parties, both vendors or however many vendors, and if they can't cooperate with one another, like. Then it's like your money is going to waste because they're too busy bickering back and forth. But in our case, we have the fortunate perspective and placement to be able, we work together and we cover multiple bases. Yep. And so that's never one more extra spot of abrasiveness on the wedding day. Exactly. So the client can focus on getting married and we can focus on capturing it.
Yep. I think that's a cool thing. And so I wanted to talk to you about I want you to kind of share with everybody like how you do your how we do our engagement sessions now, because we had a wedding we just finished in October, but we actually started working with them. What was it when we do their engagement shoot? Like was that
was over the summer?
Over the summer, right? Over the summer.
It was probably like June or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so like we did their engagement shoot, and we don't do engagement shoots like everybody else does. It's not like, come and take some posy photos and and I think the way we do it really helps guys out because guys don't want to take pictures.
And that's a whole nother thing is like a dude building a relationship with another dude, which instead other dude has a giant camera and the first dude doesn't like photos or video.
Yes, exactly.
They don't like cameras in general. And it's like another one of those things where if you're showing up the day of the wedding and you're walking in on a dude and all of his boys and everything.
Yep.
And you're just this random dude. Like it's
and they don't know you.
Like the amount of times I can tell you whenever I first started and I walked into a room with a groom and his groomsmen and the feeling of I don't belong here and they want me out. Like you could taste it. It was so thick. And it's just like, okay, you're paying me to be here.
I'm going to give you an example of what that feels like.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times where I've walked into bars or clubs when I was in college and the music stopped. And it was like everybody's heads turns like...
Or like in those old Western movies when they bust through the door.
Yes.
Like,
and everybody like the music stops like, what is going on? And so like the way we do our engagement sessions, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like doing our engagement sessions, again, it's one more opportunity for us to be able to connect with the client, but also in the way that we do them, like you had already said, it's not just like the posing and everything. It's more crafted to the client, you know, and their significant other. And so to be able to set up things like a date for them. So like for the wedding we did in October, we did a picnic for them, you know.
Yeah.
And just brought.
The
I think the charcuterie. We kind of asked
Picnic
ahead of time,
basket,
like, what do you want? You know, what's your kind of vibe that you're going for?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's one more step of. Because even just asking them like, oh, what's your like food that you like? That's one more thing that you're getting to know about that person.
Exactly.
So it's building a connection. Oh, I really love those too. Like, you know, it's just
like we know what beer what drinks, we know who drinks what beer.
Yeah, for real.
We know what drinks they like. We know,
and so
we know
like
that stuff ahead of
just
time.
those little things to know about that person, you know, is another aspect of them that wasn't set underneath pressure on the day of the wedding that you learned ahead of time. To better know that person whenever the day of the wedding came. And so to be able to do like the picnic that we did, that helped in getting to know our client in a more intimate way that, again, just didn't have the wedding day pressures of the bride getting into her dress, meeting this time frame, this, that, the next. Because also think about getting to know someone, but that person is always on a time crunch, and that's the only perspective you have of that person. That's like the only time I'm going to meet this client is on their wedding day, and they're only going to know the version of me that's they're stressed and like all these different things, you know. And so to be able to know people just as people in their normal day to day builds a deeper connection with them that isn't just like business related, but on a more human level.
Exactly.
And so so like doing our engagement shoots aside from the picnic and everything.
This is my favorite part. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So like doing there's photos, traditional photos, like what's at every engagement session, but our videos that we do are quick, like 1 minute, minute 30, or however long, depending on how long the shoot is and things like that. Those to give to the client as well, which I don't see anyone else doing.
No.
You know. Because also it gives a client a taste of like what their wedding videos like they can watch other wedding videos that you've done of but to have something that's theirs that they can already keep as their own just is that extra step of like it building the excitement of like, wow, if this short 1 hour session looked like this for an engagement video, like our 8-hour wedding or our full day wedding, getting a full video of that.
Imagine. Like you can imagine what
you can start to picture. Like I think about that when we did in October, their engagement video where, which we do a lot of ours like Netflix interview style and everything. Being able to do something like that, and it's like this was just from the engagement.
Yeah.
You know. And so how much more whenever the wedding day comes.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I'm the dude that used to listen to R&B and love songs on the way to the football game on the bus. And so I love a good love story. I love rom-coms. And so like when I get to actually hear a couple's love story and how they became one, like it kind of also makes me care for them more as well, and connects me and helps me understand like how things developed and then, for me, I like to joke a lot on the wedding day. And so, like, it brings in, like, opportunity, like, kind of like when you have inside jokes with a friend, like, it automatically makes a different connection. And so there's, like, inside jokes we have with couples that we've worked with because of, how we've established that relationship. But, like, I still think about, like, that couple, I don't know why we're not saying their name. Can we say their name?
Yeah, you can say that. We can say their name.
Amanda and Jonah, and they are people. They too are.
We enjoyed their wedding, so we can say their name. If we didn't, nameless.
But Amanda and Jonah, I think back to, I remember when you finished that engagement video, and it has the interviews in there and their love story, kind of how they met, and I remember when I sent it to her, and she said she texted back that she was crying. Like because we always like throw it's up in the air for me. It's like part of me like would love for them to just show it on their like during their wedding day, during like the reception, like have it shown that way, like the first time they see it. But the other part, like I know there's the anticipation, like okay, I want to see, and so it's like, man, it was cool to get that text back. It's like always that like, okay, again, and it's another way to develop that relationship and like let her know that, hey, we see you, we hear you, we care about your whole story, not just like one day one-off, one-off experience, So
Right. For the engagement video, I watched like 5 episodes of Love is Blind before I made it. I was like, okay.
So it kind of helped you out.
Yeah, well, I was like, what kind of style? Like, I knew I wanted to do interview style, and but I was like, what kind of like, how do I do that? Because I've shot wedding videos before, but never
more like
highlight style and stuff like that. And I could, also coming from a photo background, that's not just not the kind of stuff I was doing. And so 100%. Thank you, Netflix, for inspiration.
Yeah, Married at First Sight, Love is Blind.
All those ones.
They help us out, man.
Yeah,
and I think I said I always think if there's millions of people watching those shows and listening to these stories, then I feel like everyday, ordinary, blue collar.
Well, even I think the familiarity of doing it in that style. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that our kind of clients are probably watching on Netflix and stuff like that. Fair. And so, thinking, putting in the mindset of whoa, my wedding video looks like a Netflix documentary, adds an extra level of this was so worth the money. This is a high level, all those extra aspects, their perception of their video. On top of that, it looks like that, but it's about them. Yeah. It's not just this pre-made cookie cutter, here's your video that everyone else does, your highlight video that everyone else is
same
doing.
Template.
Right.
Right. It's more, it's like another thing I think about with the importance of those stories being told and hearing other people's voices, even on the wedding day video, actually interviewing people who were at the wedding and getting them involved. You never know what life is going to throw at you and how things will change. And so there's times where I think about especially this time of year in February, is I think about people who I've lost. And I was I still go back and listen to my grandma's voicemails to me. Voicemails, because I just want to hear her voice. Yeah. And I was I think there's a power in hearing voices, and then also when you specifically for a couple, when they tell their story, if they're having, there's a day they're mad at each other, they can pull up this video and think back in this love story and talk about how they, came together and why they came together. And then also for future generations, for their kids or grandkids, or, that's something they still have. And I think I always think back to my mind, in the 70s or 80s, or when we have grandparents who've been married for decades, it's what would it be like to have video interviews from their wedding day?
Well, it's even that just goes back to us being integrated in our clients, with our clients further than just their wedding day. Yeah, because even our product in itself is continuing that relationship with them years past their wedding, and they'll always remember those videos. And like you said, to be able to look back and I just think about whenever, if someone's struggling or something, them and their spouse or whatever, and they're scrolling through their phone and they find this video and they're getting to relive. I think about whenever Jonah said in his video, he was I think I told Amanda's parents that we met in a bed of daisies or something or whatever, or in a garden,
park or something.
And whenever they met at a party, bro, that's just so funny. No matter what mood they're in with each other, they can both watch that watch it and laugh. And so I think it's just one more piece without us intentionally talking to the client or anything like that. That even the product in itself continues to continue that relationship with us.
And continues. I think you kind of hit on this, is it continues to grow their relationship too, which is a cool thing to think about.